is the Seahawkers Podcast, episode 320. I'm Brandon Schultz of the Military Seahawkers, and joining me, my good buddy and Montana Seahawker, Adam Emmert.
Ambush quiz, Wolford or Goff?
Wolford.
All right, really? Interesting.
Well, I don't know. Is the quiz who is going to start for the Rams this coming weekend? It is who is the better quarterback between...
Who you want? Who you want?
Who do I want?
Yeah.
I want Goff.
Yeah, me too. All right. I just wanted to get that out of the way first, and then we can talk about this Dirty Niners game and go on from there. But it's playoffs time, baby.
It's playoffs time. The regular season has come to a close. The Seahawks have finished the season at 12-4. They go into the playoffs with the third seed overall, and they just squeak by a 49ers team. I don't know, squeak by because they decided to start playing in the fourth quarter and throw up 20 points on the board and win the game 26-23.
Yeah, it was an interesting game. I don't know that I know anything more about this team.
No, you see more consistency of what we've seen over the last 8 weeks.
Consistently inconsistent. Yeah.
They are, I don't even think you can say it's consistently inconsistent because we see the offense kind of struggle for a little bit, and then it comes to the fourth quarter. Russell Wilson wins the game. This is the same kind of team that we've seen the Seahawks team be year after year after year. Russell Wilson winning games in the fourth quarter. This year, we happen to see the defense making plays when they need to make plays. Again in this game, you get a big fumble at the end with Benson Mayowa. You see Rasheem Green pick it up. And that's what helped get this win for the Seahawks.
Empty backfield for Beathard on 2nd down and 10. He gets hit as he's trying to throw. Ball comes out. Do the Seahawks get on it? Do the Seahawks see you have it? Rasheem Green has the football. There's your turnover, Dave. The ball came out. The arm was not going forward. Beathard gets hit. The Seahawks recover. And now the Seahawks can pose for their 12-4 record. Getting there, I believe that was Benson Mayowa who stripped that ball away.
Yeah, the defense really did carry the team throughout the day. You said they finally decided to start playing in the fourth quarter. Well, one half the ball finally decided to start playing in the fourth quarter. The other half the ball played all game, even though they gave up that one garbage score late. And they 16 unanswered points.
They did give up 16 unanswered points after the Seahawks scored 6.
Right. And I don't know that I can put that completely on the defense because a lot of it has to do with the offense not actually converting on third down and keeping drives alive and putting them back on the field. But
I think you can put some of that on the defense. They had some third down conversions, the 49ers did, that were third and forever, and we couldn't see the defense get off the field on those.
How is it that this team is worse on 3rd and long than 3rd and 3?
I would rather be in 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 4 every single time.
Yes. If it's 3rd and 8 or more, it's 40% chance they're going to stop them?
Well, because they'll rush 3 guys, drop everybody back, put them in zone, and then the quarterback has all kinds of time to throw, or they'll, send an extra blitzer and then allow a guy for a big play, on a quick throw. So I don't know. I don't know what you do.
Yeah. Well, you don't play soft zone, rush 5, and, park everybody at the sticks every time, and then get surprised when they throw it 4 yards short of the sticks and the guy manages to lunge over the first down line and get it by a half a yard every single time.
It's so frustrating. And, on the day overall, they were pretty good at holding the 49ers on third down. So it's not even that big of an issue, I don't think, because I guess they converted 6 of 15, which that's under 40%, isn't it?
I was told there'd be no math, but that's definitely less than 50. And some of those too, I guess they didn't come on that give up drive at the end of the game where the Seahawks just decided to not play defense anymore.
Yeah, I don't even think they had a single. They barely had any second downs on that give up drive, I think.
Yeah, that was ridiculous. I don't understand that. I mean, I know you're far enough ahead where you're not really worried, but it is just infuriating to watch because it does make the stats look worse. But really, the Seahawks, at the end of the day, they took care of business and would have won by 2 scores. And think that the interesting conversation for this entire game revolves around the offense and what you think about that. Because I know I felt one way specifically during the game and directly after, and I feel slightly different now having a couple days to ruminate on it.
Oh, well, this is exactly like last week. You're furious after the game. You just didn't have Pete Carroll in a press conference this week to go and set you off again, apparently.
Oh no. Oh no. His press conference legit pissed me off, but I got the answers I was looking for at the very least.
Well, this game was interesting in a sense because I thought the offense moved the ball well through the first 4 drives. You had 2 of those drives. They ended in a field goal, but they moved the ball well. It just came down to these third downs that they couldn't convert once they got inside the red zone, which is uncharacteristic for this team. And so that was the major problem there. I would have felt much different with the Seahawks going into the half up 14-3 than up just 6-3. So that wasn't that big of an issue. They come out of the half and they have 2 3-and-outs. So the entire third quarter, you have 6 offensive plays, and then they put it together in the fourth quarter.
Right. And I guess that's how I felt different about this game after a couple days, is that after thinking about that first quarter and the way they did move the ball, it's like, well, geez Louise, if they just punch one of those in, not both, but just one.
Oh, yeah.
Least,
So,
right?
so it's 10-3.
So it's 10-3.
You're not getting greedy.
Your end score is going to be 32 points at that point. Or no, it'd be, what did they end up scoring? 26?
They ended up scoring 26. So you figure
Okay, so
even if you get 4 more points, yeah, that's 30.
Yeah, so you're over 30 at that point. And then you feel good all of a sudden. So the difference between feeling like, oh my gosh, I hate this team and I hate this offense right now, and oh wow, okay, they're on a roll. We're going into the playoffs. This is good. Is not converting in the red zone those first 2 drives.
I think it was just that stretch of drives and when they came, because you had the 4 drives and the 4th drive, it was great. You're like, okay, here's DK Metcalf getting Steve Largent's single season record. He picks that up. They're throwing footballs over the sideline. Tyler Lockett's catching a pass. He goes over the franchise mark for passes caught. He's throwing balls over to the sidelines. And you're like, okay, this is, they came to play. They came to get these records. And then it just, after that, they end up 3-and-out on the 5th drive. They go backward 9 yards. And then they get the ball with 25 seconds left to go before the end of the half. And you just have, there's
a jailbreak.
Yeah, you have a jailbreak blitz, which, talking to Clinton on 3 and 3 out, there were people that brought up Hollister specifically. So I went back and watched this play at the end of the half. Russell Wilson, he calls in Hollister, who's split out to the wide side, and he can see them about to jailbreak. So he calls in Hollister, and then Hollister doesn't even block the dude that's coming off the edge. He blocks down, and Russell Wilson gets taken down. So if there's one thing that I don't like seeing from this team, it's when the defense is in 3rd and long and when the offense has under 2 minutes left right before the half.
Yeah, because it lends itself to one of the 2 big problems that the Seahawks are having on offense right now. And the first one is that offensive line. They really do miss Upati and Shell.
Yeah.
I think it's a big deal. And you see that that's a huge difference in the way that the offense produces, because when they have those 2 other offensive linemen, they get way better protection. The communication's a lot better. You can see Russ trusts them more. And with Russ playing the way that he's been coached to play the last 6-7 weeks, which is the number 2 problem, by the way, he needs that extra time and that extra protection, because right now he has been told you do not throw any routes when there's a sort of anticipation factor to the throw. The only routes you throw are see it open, double see it open, and then throw it.
It almost takes you back to the Darrell Bevel scribble play days, because that's a lot, except with more pocket presence, right? It's not bailing out of the pocket and looking for those throws. It's hanging in the pocket, and if they're not there, throwing it away, or double clutching and maybe going to the check down. But see, the thing that I don't understand about that, then, if that is your strategy, is to send people down the field. If there's an opening, throw it. why are you not leaving a clear outlet for a check down in those situations? Because the biggest play of the day was a check down throw to Chris Carson.
I knew you would bring this up, and I'm glad you did, because I went back and I did rewatch for that very thing. And we did see this is something that can play into this Rams game coming up here next week, because we saw the Jets just destroy the Rams on checkdowns to the backs. Right? Okay. And this is a huge adjustment, or it's a small adjustment that can make a huge difference for the Seahawks offense right now. I sat and I watched. How come there isn't that check down there? What's wrong? Where is this check down?
Well, I don't know if it wasn't there. I mean, maybe. And since you looked, was it there? And they just didn't take it?
No, this is good. I'm glad you said that. Is it actually there? The answer is yes, but not where you want it to be. So they're running everybody down the field on these deeper shots, right? To try to, run off these two deep safeties and all that. And then what they've been doing is the back, almost 9 times out of 10, if he stays in and chips or just goes out in a route, sneaks through the middle of the line and posts up right in the middle of the field where the spy that's sitting, waiting for Russ, is sitting right there. And they did it over and over and over again. And one of the few times they leaked the back out to the flat after running everybody off was the exact play that you were talking about, the throw to Chris Carson. And it was a huge play. If the Seahawks want to get their explosive passing game back, they need to hit these checkdowns to the backs. This needs to be a huge part of their offense, especially against the Rams here. Because it doesn't take an enormous amount of time to run dudes 6-7 yards downfield and have everybody in a back pedal, right? And then dump it to the back. So that mitigates that pass rush. It gets a guy out in space that has talent with the ball and eat them alive 4 yards at a time. Do it.
Yeah, because Russ can hit those short throws. And like you're saying, that I did see a couple of those plays where, it was posting up right in front of the linebacker. And that makes zero sense because, like you said, that guy's there to spy. You're just essentially giving him, allowing him to do both jobs at once by covering the back and spy Russell Wilson.
Yes, it makes zero sense. And I hadn't really noticed it until I went back and watched this game. And the thing is that if they do this, if they start checking it down to the backs on the outside, what that's going to do is it's going to make them come out of that too deep shell and come down, bring at least one more dude down, right? And play closer to the line of scrimmage. And once they do that, then guess what's back? The sexy deep ball.
Or run some more boots. He had that nice little boot out that I think Will Dissly caught. That was a nice play upfield.
No, it wasn't. It was such a frustrating play. That whole drive was frustrating. And this is the first touchdown to Tyler. Okay. There's multiple plays on this drive where Russ had more and turned it down, like easily more, and turned it down. And that Dissly play is the perfect example. Boots out to the right. They've got Tyler and Dissly both going to that side of the field on two different levels. And Tyler is wide, catfishing open, another 6 yards down the field past Dissly. And he checks it down to Dissly.
What I'm saying, though, is if you're trying to take the more risky plays out of there.
That's not a risky play.
Well, not when a guy's wide open, no.
That's my point. We've talked about this decision-making stuff.
Although if you're Russ and maybe you're overthrowing things. But, after this game, I did think that his accuracy seemed a bit off. But then the more I thought about it, was it so far off or were those throwaways? Because Pete seemed to think that they were throwaways. I don't know if he was covering for him, but I did. The more I thought about it, the more I thought that they were legit throwaways.
Couple throwaways, but the missed bomb to Tyler, that one was super disappointing. He had Tyler wide open in the end zone, missed him.
Yeah.
Later in the game on a bomb, overthrew him. And you're like, wait a second, where are the sexy deep balls?
And on that particular play, the reason why I thought it was an overthrow is going back to the offensive line and the pressure, just breaking down around him. So I think that Damian Lewis, Pete Carroll in his press conference said he should be all rookie team. There are some pass blocking issues. Like he has some pass blocking issues, but I think when you have Brandon Shell next to him, you just don't see it as much. But when you have Abuehi who's filling in and Damian Lewis on that side, and then you got Jordan Simmons also, backing up Mike Iupati, then I think, you're just missing one too many guys on that offensive line that you can't kind of overcome having that rookie offensive lineman there on those pass blocking plays. So it looks like Iupati's going to be back. It sounds like Brandon Shell's off the COVID list. He's going to be ready for this game. So I am looking forward to having those players ready in particular for this game coming up against the Rams.
Oh, for sure. And I think that does help solve problem number one with the offense. Problem number two was the question that I kept having over these last 3 or 4 weeks. Why is Russ so hesitant? Why is Russ double clutching all the time? Why is he not throwing with any anticipation? How come he's not taking any risks? Or when he does, they're kind of weird risks, right? Like the throw to David Moore last week.
Yeah.
I finally got clarity on that.
Oh.
And it was from Pete's freaking presser.
Okay.
Like he came out and you could tell they started grilling him about the offense a little bit. And he says, well, it's really clear. We're 12-0 when we don't turn the ball over, and we're 0-4 when we don't turn the ball over. And then they press him on the offense
2 or more times.
Again.
It's 12-0 when they don't turn, or when they're at 0 or yes,
yeah,
or
even
positive.
or in the plus. Yeah,
and then 0-4 when they turn it over twice or more.
There you go. Okay, and he hammered that home a couple more times throughout the press conference, and I know for a fact that the reason Russ is playing the way he is after that turnover stretch, Pete said, enough of this. The way that we're going to win is you're going to play football like you did in 13 and 14 and 12, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no unnecessary risk, protect the team, and this MVP stuff and let Russ cook, it's dead. And we're not doing any of that anymore. And it feels like it sucked the joy out of Russ a little bit. And you can see it in his decision-making. He's slow to process everything. He's afraid to make the big mistake. And because he knows, like, Pete thinks that that's it. They do that right there. Don't turn the ball over twice, and they're going to win. He knows that's Pete's belief, and he's afraid to cross him on it.
Well, and Pete's probably praising him for it after this stretch run of games where, they're getting the wins. They've only lost that one game to the Giants down the stretch. Other than that, that's 6 wins. So 6-1 since that loss to the Rams. And a big part of it has been not turning the ball over. A big part of it's been getting those drives late when you need them. I can see that once you get to the playoffs, that can be important. I was going to save it for later. Let's talk about it now. Would you rather have the Seahawks team from the first 8 weeks of the season? Would you rather have that team going into the playoffs, or would you rather have the team that we've seen the last 8 weeks of the season?
This team. Yeah. I think it's a better formula for consistently winning, right?
Right. Especially in the playoffs.
But can't we have a little in between?
Right. Well, especially when
is that too much to freaking
when
ask?
you make the improvements on defense. The improvements on defense aren't because the team is turning the ball over less on offense. The improvements on defense are because you got Carlos Dunlap, you got a healthy Jamal Adams, and they're creating turnovers. So, I think that you should be able to have a little bit of both.
Yeah, I should be able to have slightly better offense instead of more or less broken for 3 quarters and then come alive in the fourth. Now, the other way to look at it is, okay, we wanted to see these guys get in a rhythm, heading into the playoffs, and look at that. In the fourth quarter, 3 drives, 3 touchdowns. They woke up, they found their rhythm. They're going to be fine heading into the Rams game.
Are they?
Do you believe that?
I don't know if I would necessarily believe anything coming out of this game against the 49ers because it's a broken team. You're playing a 3rd-string quarterback, a 4th-string running back. They're missing a bunch of the dudes on their defensive line. So I don't know if I was...
And you almost lost.
And you almost lost. So I think I would have needed to see that consistency that you're talking about, the decision-making on offense. It's good that they got it in the fourth quarter, but man, I feel like I've seen this movie before, that this is the kind of offense and game plan that we get going into the playoffs. And yes, it's good enough to get by the wild card round, but once you get into the divisional round and you have a team that comes out hot and gets out to a 14 to 17 point lead in the first and second quarter, and it creates a kind of deficit that you just can't get out of, then that's where that philosophy fails you.
Yeah, this feels exactly like last year. Because that's what you described as last year.
Last
Offense
year
barely,
and a couple of years before that.
Yeah, but I mean, specifically last year. I mean, barely beat the Eagles, which were a trash team, and then go into Green Bay, get down big, and then make a furious comeback, sure, but too little too late. And yeah, I think that can bite you in the ass. So I don't, if they can just do what they did at the beginning of the Niners game, which is get down the field, get some points, but punch it in.
Got to punch it in.
Just don't settle for field goals. I think that's the difference right now.
Yes, and I saw somebody post on Twitter, they had all of the Seahawks scores in the first half going back since Super Bowl 49. So 2015 until last season, the amount of points that the Seahawks offense has put up on the board in the first half, 2015, both playoff games against Minnesota and Carolina, 0 points in the first half. In 2016 against Detroit and Atlanta, their best of all these playoff runs, 10 points in the first half against those two teams. 2018 put up 6 points against Dallas. We know how that game ended. That was their one wild card round loss. Gosh, was that of ever? Pete Carroll's always gotten by the wild card round, right? Except for that 1 year.
That feels correct.
Okay. And then Philly, they get 10 points on the board, and then Green Bay, 3 points.
Yeah. These slow starts, man. It's really frustrating. So I think what they can do to kind of alleviate that and keep the chains moving, number one is run the ball more up the middle. Run the ball more up the middle. I mean, the balance in this last game was out of whack again.
Yeah, what was it? 40 pass plays to 20 run plays?
Yeah, somewhere in that neighborhood. It's like 45 pass plays, 22 run plays, something along those lines.
And when they got inside the red zone, it's when you saw a lot of those run plays go away, or they had Penny in and they were ineffective. I don't understand why we don't see more Carson inside the red zone when he's not even on the field sometimes.
Yeah, well, maybe he should do something different about the jewelry he wears on the field.
Do you think, was it his earring that gave him the bloody ear, or did he take a shot to the head? That was kind of gross.
I think somebody might have hooked him with his finger or something, but no, I don't think it was the earring. I just wanted to make fun of him for it.
Why are you wearing jewelry on the field during a football game?
Yeah, don't do that. Who do you think you are, Michael Crabtree?
It seems like a bad idea.
So, yeah, don't do that. But it would be nice to see a little more efficiency in the run game down in the red zone. And just to keep the chains moving, they can do the two things. One, we talked about already, the throws to the backs in the flat. And the other thing is to run a lot more comeback routes. I mean, if all these teams are going to slough off and play deep on you, then run them off the line and then run dead back to Russ.
Right.
And what that does is, number one, if they're going to play that way, there's no way they're covering that. It makes it real easy to read for Russ. Hey, if the defender's behind you and you're running towards me and I throw the ball to you, there's no way he can get to it.
Right.
It makes it a super easy read. So it's going to help this slow down decision-making process that's going on right now. And you can eat them up like that for a long time until you actually get them out of that soft zone that they're playing on us.
Yeah. Throw it to your tight ends over the middle.
Yeah.
Where have we seen the tight ends this year? I felt like coming into the season, we're like, oh, we got Greg Olsen, we got Will Dissly healthy. You're seeing throws to Jacob Hollister, but I feel like they're not. When have we seen a game where they've hit a tight end on 8 passes in a game where your tight end was the leading pass catcher? I don't think we've seen a tight end with more than 5 or 6 in a game.
Nope, hasn't been there. And I think a lot of it too is I've heard a lot of people talk about Russ being locked on to DK,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
And trying to force feed him. And
well, he waits for because of those plays downfield, he's waiting for those to come open. And that's when you see a lot of those sacks. And it's him waiting for it to, so he can be sure and make the throw as it comes open.
But why are we, when Russ drops back, why do we have him coached up right now to read the play deep to shallow in priority of your routes? I don't understand that. The deep one is the one that develops the latest. So the shallow one's already developed, was ready to go. And like now it's been sitting there. I mean, there was a third down where Tyler comes from the left side of the offense to the middle of the field. It was only a 2-man route. And he was wide open initially.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if
Russ
you hit
just,
it
and
in
he's
time, right?
looking right at him. But yeah, he was just staring down DK, who ends up getting double covered. And then by the time he comes back to Tyler, it's too late.
Right.
Like this happens all the time in the offense right now. We need to change the way Russ is reading the defense. I mean, because the timing of the play is the shortest routes develop the fastest. So why wouldn't that be your first read, intermediate second, deep shot third?
Well, and that not only does that fix, just the issues of moving the football, it fixes the issues of tempo. We see so many times where the tempo of this team, they're taking it down to the final seconds, and it doesn't even matter if it's, a short play or a long play. It's down to 3 seconds when he snaps the ball. So get some.
They're not even out of the huddle when there's 10 seconds left on the clock.
So you get some tempo going, and you get the defense off balance, and then you take the deep shots. I don't understand why you're not. If you're going to look for those deep shots, get a little bit of a rhythm going, get a first down, get a second first down, and then look for those shots. But I don't understand of exactly what you're saying. Looking for that progression that in that way every time.
Yeah, it's rather perplexing. And it's the word that I keep coming back to for this offense right now. It's just perplexing. I don't completely understand the strategy and the play calling. And then on top of that, throughout this game,
well, hold on.
How many times did we have?
Is this a Pete issue? Is this a shoddy issue? Or is this a Russ issue?
This is a Pete issue.
It feels like a Pete issue.
This is a Pete issue. And he told us that in the press conference. I mean, that's it. You finally, if you listen and you read between the lines, this is what he wants to do.
Well, he's always been a guy who wants to get the explosive plays.
Yeah. Yeah. And he wants to play it safe, till you've played it so safe that the explosive play opens up and away you go. And that's a little bit of what we're suggesting you do right now, right? Dump offs, check downs, comebacks, shallow crossers, all the little West Coast stuff. Play it safe, and then, go up and over the top. Or run the ball a little bit more and then go up and over the top. I mean, make them bring that safety down. You have to force them, because right now, all the teams know you play 2 high safeties and then you basically have us more or less shut down.
Because Russ is going to try and throw a deep one, and you're going to have a defender there to cover it. And yeah,
and even beyond that, Russ is going to look and wait for the deep shot almost every play. And with a banged up offensive line, you're going to get home with your pass rush.
Right.
And now you're behind the sticks.
Yes, and they're playing all these good defenses down the stretch. So, we did see a little bit more of that type of strategy against a Washington team on the road. But I feel like they haven't really employed that same strategy when they've been playing in Seattle.
I mean, they kind of did against the Rams.
They needed to run the ball more against the Rams last time.
Well, they're afraid of that defensive line. I mean, we know that for sure. And the thing is if you're looking for any changes to really be made offensively right now and things to pick up a little bit and be a little more crisp and score some more points, then you're going to be sorely disappointed, because once again, this might be the 3rd week in a row I've heard Pete say, well, you guys can all worry about this offense stuff.
Right.
I'm not worried. That's for you guys to worry about. No. This is for you to worry about, Pete. You're the head catfishing coach. This should not be acceptable. But then again, we sit here and we complain, about this team and how things are right now.
Right.
They're 12-4. They won the division. We're going to the playoffs. Like, how can I be so dissatisfied?
Yeah, Russell Wilson threw 40 touchdown passes this season. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, they're the first 2 guys with 1,000 receiving yards on a Seahawks team since 1995. So you're seeing offensive records go down. You're seeing Russell Wilson get personal best records. And yeah, I part of it is they did put up such big numbers in the first half, but they still, they've done enough over the entire season to hit some of these franchise marks.
Yeah, finish the season 6-1. I mean, geez Louise, that's going in pretty hot, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
it feels fraudulent. It feels fraudulent somehow.
Well, it does when you know the potential of this team, right? You know the potential is there, and so the expectations are higher. You want so much more. I got an email here from Amon. He says, "Hi, this is Amon, a 12 from the Greater Hawkdom, and one thing that gives me hope for the playoffs is that no matter what, the Seahawks are never out of a game. While lots of people will look at the last few weeks and say that the offense is terrible or that we don't have a chance in the playoffs, the Seahawks can always find a way to step up and play to the level they need to. Pete Carroll is able to get great production out of anyone, even people like DJ Reed or Alex Collins. In the post-game show, Russell Wilson said that in the fourth quarter, he knew the Hawks just had to go win it, and they did what it took. That is why I trust the Seahawks in the playoffs, because as the saying goes, there is never a normal game with the Seahawks. I love the show and appreciate what you guys do so much. Catfish the Rams and go Hawks."
Hey, go Hawks, man. I appreciate the email. And yeah, you should have belief in the team, right? This is a team that's proven over the years that they're going to win at least a playoff game and put you in position to win another. And they finished 12-4 and they won the division and finished 6-1 and all that stuff. You should feel pretty good about it. But yet somehow with Russ sputtering like this and just looking lost on the field, I guess that's what scares me the most.
Looking lost through stretches, because obviously in the fourth quarter we saw vintage fourth quarter Russ. He gets another stat, gets the comeback win, he gets a game-winning drive. So moving up the charts. But there.
Again, for example, that first touchdown drive of the fourth quarter, the play that they scored on to Tyler. All right, they have a bunch formation to the left-hand side of the offense. They come out of that. And the third receiver out of that is David Moore on a little slant, and he's wide open. If you hit him in rhythm, it's touchdown.
Yeah, and he gets his $100,000 right there.
Right there. But instead, Russ turns it down. He's looking at him, but he turns it down because he's spooked by the middle linebacker, and then has to do Houdini things in a scribble play to score to Tyler. And then couple plays before that, he turns down Tyler to throw shorter to Disley. There was like 2 plays before that he had done something similar where you're just like, this isn't sharp. This isn't taking everything that's there. It's not hitting your back foot and being decisive and rifling the ball in somewhere. And it so much patting the ball, double clutching, just waiting for your protection to break down. There's just too much indecisiveness. And what I found myself in this game where we had DK breaking Steve Largent's record and Tyler breaking records, right? And getting 100 receptions and all these great receiver numbers. And I find myself throughout the course of that game thinking, I miss Doug Baldwin. Where is Doug Baldwin? We need somebody to grab Russ by the front of the jersey and shake him and say, we will only go as far as you take us. This is up to you. Snap the catfish out of it. This is too neutral. This This mindset. We need a little angry Doug Baldwin. I really believe it. And I posted that in the Discord, and I can't remember who got back to me and said, well, Tyler was kind of
he was talking to him.
Well, neat. That's the choir boy and the altar boy, like having a discussion about firing somebody up. Hey, Russell, you might want to throw with a little more anticipation. Oh, you're right. Maybe I will. I don't know. Like, I mean, that's not firing anybody up.
Right. I wonder if DK could be that guy once he starts to get that comfort level with Wilson. Gosh, he's such a good guy too. I don't know who you're going to get that can be that fiery type of guy with Russ. I mean, maybe you go and part of the...
Can't that just be Doug Baldwin's job? He doesn't need to be on the roster. He can just be the fiery up coach.
Maybe. I think that is a little bit different, though, when you have a peer who is a player, who's willing to get into you a little bit.
Yeah, you do. You need that partner. It reminds me a lot of the 30 for 30 documentary, Winning Time, Reggie Miller versus the New York Knicks. And for those of you who didn't watch 90s basketball, real quick, I'll lay it out for you real quick. Pacers and Knicks were a huge rival once Michael, did his first retirement. And the Pacers always got beat by the Knicks, and they had bloodbaths, right? Just bloodbaths. And finally, the Pacers brought in a point guard named Mark Jackson, who had actually played for the Knicks early in his career and kind of got crapped on and shipped out. And so the Pacers bring him in. And if you've listened to any NBA basketball over the last couple of years, Mark Jackson is one of the lead announcers. But he would come in, and there's a scene where they talk about how Reggie was coming into the Garden to try to beat the Knicks finally. And Mark Jackson was his hype man. Man, do you see what they said about you? He can't guard you. John Starks, guard you? You see that in the paper, Reg? That's disrespectful. That's that, right? Just in his ear. And Reggie kind of finishes explaining how this felt. He's like, it was like having Flavor in your head, being like, yeah, boy.
Well, see, here's the thing, though. That's
what we need.
It's hard.
We need a Mark Jackson.
It's hard to find a Flavor Flav, Adam, because you need the guy who is your hype man, but is also the team hype man. And so often you get that guy, it ends up being the receiver who is hype man for himself and not hype man for the team. You know, we watching a little bit of that game between the Cardinals and the Rams. The Cardinals had an opportunity late in the game, even with Kyler Murray out, and DeAndre Hopkins commits an offensive pass interference penalty on a catch that he picks up, but then it goes back 10 yards. He gets so upset that he got called for a penalty. He ends up getting another 15-yard penalty on top of that. It pushes him back to 1st and 35. So it's having that guy on the team, but I get such more the sense of DeAndre Hopkins being more of the me guy than the team guy. And it's hard to find that player, I think.
Yeah, they don't grow on trees. But Doug was that guy. I mean,
yeah, I know. We had that guy.
Yeah, and fine, bring him back on the team. Can't he take Dorsett's spot?
Yeah, he doesn't have to be active. He just has to be down on the sideline.
Yes, or just suit him up every game. It doesn't matter. He doesn't need to go out there.
No, you can put
him
him
not into it anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
Sign him for the playoffs.
It's just frustrating to watch Russ stay in these funks for 2-3 quarters, you know?
And that's what it was. It was 2 quarters of this game. That last half of the second quarter and then the entire third quarter. So, yeah, I don't think that you can afford to go through stretches quite like that in the playoffs.
I don't think you can. And again, I think the biggest culprit here is I think Pete has robbed Russ of his confidence.
Yeah, and I think the neutral mindset thing has a little bit to do with it, too.
He was neutral mindsetting the first 8 weeks of the season.
Sure. It's good for coming back because you never get too down that you don't think that you're ever out of it. Mm-hmm. But I think that also it fits into the problem, too. It's, you never think that you're out of it when you should start feeling a little bit of sense of urgency.
Definitely. I mean, can't you get like a little angry earlier?
Right.
Just be a little more quick to anger. That's my lesson for Russell Wilson right now. I want him to be a little more quick to anger. It's great life advice. I'm sure it's going to help him a great deal.
Can we get a guy to just hold up a 4 over all of the scoreboard signs in the stadium so it's always the fourth quarter? Because you can't win the game until the fourth quarter.
Well, I think that doesn't do the whole job, though. I think the score also needs to be altered to be sure they know they're down at all times. Like, just make them so that they're perpetually down.
Yeah, in the fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yeah. So here comes the Rams.
Well,
so
here comes the Rams.
Yeah. And as much as I tried to speak it into existence after the Rams game, that we wouldn't have to see them again, that they wouldn't make the playoffs. It didn't happen. Here they are. And that's why I asked you the pop quiz at the beginning, the ambush quiz at the beginning of the pod. I think it's the most important question of this game. Who would you rather see, Wolford or Goff?
Does it matter more just knowing who you're going to get earlier in the week, or does it really matter who you're going to get even at all?
Yeah, it matters. And the reason why it matters is Wolford can actually run.
He can run. That's, who he reminds me of? He reminds me a little bit of Jalen Hurts for the Eagles.
Yeah.
Like he can throw downfield a bit. He's above average speed enough to get out and make you pay if you're not really playing the run.
For me, it was Jeff Garcia.
That's a little bit older. Some of the newer listeners aren't going to remember Jeff Garcia.
Well, look it up. He was a, pint-sized little redheaded dude that played. Didn't he play in the CFL for a minute?
Yeah.
Before and he replaced Steve Young with the 49ers.
Yeah, I think that.
But I think Garcia was a better thrower of the football, but
he's
but
pint-sized, but taller than Russ, right?
Yeah. Who do you rather see? To me, I'd rather see Goff because number one, you've played him enough times, you know what his game is. Number two, he's coming off freaking thumb surgery.
Yeah.
What's worse than Jared Goff? Broken thumb Jared Goff. Like that's what's worse. And then three, he can't run. And that was the thing that the Seahawks did so well in the last matchup against the Rams on all those boots and stuff is they contained the receivers and then dared him to run. And he couldn't do it. With Wolford, dare him to run and he'll get that 5-6 yards on the regular.
There are some things, though, that Goff is better at. He's better in the pocket. He doesn't get the little happy feet.
Looking like a Barbie doll?
He's more decisive, I think. I saw so much of Wolford, kind of in the pocket, but, not really willing to take the shot and commit to it the way that Goff does. I do think Wolford was better at throwing downfield than Goff is. Like, he can sling it downfield a little bit. So, yeah, I think you're right in that Wolford probably does give the Rams a better chance to win, which is why you don't want him out there. Goff coming off thumb surgery, but I do think Goff will play come Saturday.
You think Goff is legitimately starting?
I think he's going to start.
Wow.
I'm like 60-40, but I think he's going to start.
I don't know. When I first gave that question to myself, my snap judgment, my gut was like, oh, definitely Goff. I definitely want Goff. After watching Wolford's highlights, he made a couple nice throws.
Yeah,
and you know what his best attribute is, really? Being not Jared Goff.
I think that if you were to really get after Wolford, though, like to send the blitz consistently, I think you'd start seeing some mistakes. The one thing that I thought that Arizona should have done more that I don't think that they just didn't do it enough. And I have no reason why, because their opportunity to be on the playoffs is on the line in this game. They lose and they're out. Why are you not sending pressure on Wolford every single time until he starts beating you?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I do know. Kingsbury's a terrible coach.
Right.
And it's hilarious. It's hilarious to get the national pundits starting to realize that and actually express that. I mean, I heard Bill Simmons and his cousin Sal, like his last two podcasts, like they finally figured it out. They're like, oh, Kingsbury's a dumpster fire. It's like, yeah, he is.
Well, looking at Twitter, it sounds like Sean McVay is tired of the questions. He's not going to make an announcement on the starting quarterback. So we're going to see games there. We're going to see games from Pete Carroll, and that he's not going to commit as to whether or not Jamal Adams is going to play Saturday, and Jamal Adams is going to play Saturday.
Okay, I was going to say, what does your gut say on that one?
Yeah, 100%. When he is lighting 100%. Up a cigar after winning the NFC West title, you think that dude is going to pass up on his first opportunity to play in the playoffs? Like, whatever he has to do?
Nope. No, he's not. He's definitely not. And you've heard him talk about the other shoulder injury earlier in the season.
Yeah.
His previous one. In his press conference, he's like, you have to drag me off this field. There is no way I am playing. And I think the only reason you didn't get that press conference this week is just what you said. Pete Carroll playing games, which good for him. That's good. You should do that as the head coach in this situation.
Although, I mean, for Pete, like we all know that Jamal Adams is going to play, I guess. And really, I thought we saw some nice things from Ryan Neal when he went in relief for Adams.
Yeah, Ryan Neal's made a nice effort to fill in for Jamal when need be, but he's not Jamal.
Oh, no.
I mean, it's a huge difference. The other big question is Jaron Reed, right?
That's the one I probably worry about the most. And when you saw him walk off the field in pain, were you thinking to yourself, man, we just got rid of Snacks Harrison before this week?
I was thinking to myself, that's going to validate the opinion that was expressed by a lot of people that pull the starters, give up, who gives a crap on this game, right?
Oh, yeah, when you have Reed and Adams.
Right. So the thing about that mindset in that game to me was this. Sure, do that on defense. I'm fine. Pull all the defensive dudes. I really don't care. But you leave all the offensive dudes in for the rest of the game until they get their catfish together.
Right.
They need the reps. They need the practice. We need to get better. We need to be on that roll going into the playoffs. Try to win the game in that sense.
I just don't like the idea of losing, especially to a division rival, when you've got another division rival coming up in the playoffs.
To me, it's just more, what's the best thing for your team in this situation? The best thing for your team in this situation is get the offense some rhythm and get on track and have some confidence and some flow and some rhythm heading into the playoffs. I think that was the most important part about this game. And I guess we got it at the end of the game.
We got 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. So I don't think that there's really, you can't do much better. One of those coming off a turnover. And, it was just Alex Collins plowing forward for that final touchdown.
Dude, that was an awesome run. How awesome was that run?
It was awesome.
His little cutback in the middle of that run, the juke that he put on.
Yeah.
That was fantastic. I mean, when he made that move, he definitely got a ooh out of me because that was tasty. That was a really cool run.
You ready to put him ahead of Hyde then?
No.
Okay.
But I'm definitely ready to put him ahead of CJ Penny. I mean, Rashad Penny. Yeah.
Oh, don't you dare. I do not like these comparisons of Penny to Procise.
Are they hard to draw?
Yeah. Penny's been
injured the entire catfishing time.
The dude is coming off an ACL injury. Come on now.
Okay.
It is frustrating, though, when that was the exact reason why they picked him, is because he had been so healthy throughout college. Mm-hmm. And then you pass on Nick Chubb, who...
Yep.
Oh.
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah. Who runs with a style that actually fits the Seattle Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you had that guy in Carson. So, that was, you needed your thunder and lightning, not thunder and thunder.
Why don't you have all the thunders? I don't understand why people get so afraid of just being that uber power team, just mollywomping people.
Yeah.
Like, why is that not the goal of every team? I don't understand this affinity to get super fast and little and, spread it out and everything in space. Get huge and push people around. There's no stopping that.
Right. That's a good point.
It sucks the will to live out of the other team, man.
Yeah, because all these guys are super athletes anyway. Like they're used to running up and down the field all game.
Yeah. I contend to this day that if somebody would have committed to Tebow in that way.
Here we go. Here we go with Tebow huge. Again.
No, I'm just saying, as a power runner, that's something that he was special at. He wasn't a great thrower. He was like Jalen Hurts, not really a quarterback. But as a power runner in a power run offense, I think that could have been deadly in this league right now.
One thing that I'm looking forward to, can we get back to talking about the Seahawks and not quarterbacks of, passed on other teams, please?
Sure. It's tough to kind of preview this game because it's like, what do you need us for? You just saw it.
At least we had 1 week of a break. Like, could you imagine being a Browns fan? It's like, oh, I get to watch the Browns play the Steelers again, except now it's for the playoffs instead of, to get into the playoffs, which is essentially a playoff game.
Right. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But out of all the teams that we could have possibly faced in the playoffs in the first round, the Los Angeles Rams are the last team that I would want to do that against. Firstly, just because out of all the teams that you could have possibly played 3 times this year, they have the best defensive line.
Oh, yeah.
Secondly, playing a team 3 times is freaking hard. When you have to play a team 3 times in a year, I mean, there's no more secrets. There's no more, trickery.
Well, that's what makes me feel like we've got the better team. I'd probably feel worse about this game if they had won both regular season games, but at least they split.
Yeah, at least they split.
I don't know if that matters, but because really, when you go back into the history, the last time that the Seahawks faced the Rams 3 times, it was back in 2007, and the Rams won all 3 of those times.
Well, we're already doing better then. But one thing that I do know is that Aaron Donald's giving out bulletin board material.
Ooh.
So that's cool.
What bulletin board material do we got from Donald?
Oh, we wanted the Seahawks. This is what we wanted.
Okay.
This is what you wanted? Come get some, big boy.
Didn't we want this too?
No.
We wanted it last year.
But that's because because we were in the same position that they are this year in terms of, wanting vengeance, right?
Do you think they're going to be motivated by vengeance? Or that he's now put on more bulletin board material for the Seahawks to say, oh, you wanted vengeance?
Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see who reacts more adversely to smack talk.
It's a big thing to watch in this game.
Well, really, we all know what the big things to watch are, right? I mean, as far as offensively from the Rams, you're going to get the same thing that you always get. They don't change. The wide zone runs, you're going to get the boots, you're going to get the crossers, and the jet sweep motion.
One of the differences is from the last time we saw the Rams is they didn't have Cam Akers. And I think that could make a little bit of a difference. I like Akers in the sense that once he commits to where he's going, he'll put his foot in the ground and go. But it does kind of feel like he's kind of a boomer bust runner in that sense, is that if he gets up to the line and there's no hole there, he's just going down. Like there are no 1 or 2 or 3 yard gains for Akers, it seems like, where he just puts his head down and goes. And so I think that's what got them into a little bit of trouble against Arizona, because you would have them run into the line and they block up those runs on 1st and 2nd down, and then you had 3rd and long. And the Rams were able to pick up some of those long plays, whether it was, on the feet of Wolford or I think they'd put in Brown and just have him plow ahead and pick up those actual tough yards. Like he's able to do that. So that is one difference, I think, in this game than the last time.
You and I are in total lockstep on this. I totally agree with you. The thing I really like about Cam Akers is how unbelievably, delightfully, slightly below average he is. It's great.
Yeah, as long as
if there's a big hole, he can run through it and actually gain some yards. If there's any sort of traffic, he gets diddly squat. Cool. Hooray for Cam Akers.
He's quick to the hole is what I'm saying.
Neat. And then gets like 1 or 5. That's it. He's a one cut. He's got no wiggle. I just didn't get it, him coming out of college. I thought it was a terrible draft pick for the Rams. And I mean, other than just being a decent depth runner, he's just, again, my favorite part about his game is him, just how delightfully below average he is.
Running into the backs of his offensive linemen.
He's got no vision, man. I'd take Alex Collins before I'd take him.
Yeah, well, because he's that style of runner that you like.
Yeah, one that actually makes a guy miss now and then. Yeah, I like that.
And puts his head down and runs into a dude and gains yardage.
Yes.
That's why I said I like Brown for the Rams.
He's okay.
I feel like you gave me a hard time about him earlier on.
Yeah, they're all okay. None of those guys are spectacular in any way. Darrell Henderson's their best back of all of them. And, is he better than Carlos Hyde? I don't think so. Might be 6 of one, half does the other,
Maybe.
It's just a very average backfield. But they do have a lot of weapons at receiver. I'm still afraid of Robert Woods. I mean, that guy makes plays all over the field. He's a hell of a receiver.
Yeah, and he had some catches in that game against Arizona too, where, man, oh man. So one other thing that I like, just to look ahead, just a little bit, because if you get past the Rams, I kind of like that you then have to go through Breeze and either Brady or Rodgers. Like, I like that. I like that we're going to have some quarterback matchups in the playoffs.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, to be fair, well, I guess there's no way we'd face Mitch, even if they won.
Yeah. So the only way you face Mitch is if the Bears get through the Packers in the NFC Championship game.
Yeah. So we won't face Mitch. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting at earlier last show, in the sense of I don't really care if you're the 2 or 3 seed. Doesn't much matter. You're going to have to beat Brady, Breeze, and Rodgers at some point, or at least 2 of the 3.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, out of all those teams, which team do you fear the most?
The Packers. They're the best team this year. Aaron Rodgers is playing the best out of the quarterbacks of that group.
I kind of fear Tampa Bay the most.
I am curious to see, because one of the things, just talking to Anthony Knockreiner of our local radio here, where I go and do his show every week, he's pointing out to me just how terrible the Bucs have been in prime time. And what does the NFL do to them in the very first playoff weekend against Washington They put him in the prime time slot, which is where they've notoriously been terrible all season.
Hey, when Brady was with the Patriots, whenever they're the wild card, he always played Saturday night.
Yeah.
You just pencil Tom in there. He's the draw.
Well, apparently with the Bucks, it's been bad in prime time.
Okay, well, maybe we should talk about some of these other teams in the second half of the show here.
All right, let's get to it.
That feels like second half material.
Getting into the second half of the show. Before we get into some of the other playoff teams, let's look at just where this team kind of ranks out after the whole regular season, now that it's finished. One thing that jumps out to me, just with all the talk of, oh my goodness, the Seahawks defense is on pace to be the worst in history. They're going to finish number 32 in passing yards allowed because they're not even close, but they did it, Adam. They moved into number 31 for the NFL. So even after the historic run of terrible games to start off the season, they end up not being the worst in the NFL in terms of passing yards allowed per game.
Then who the hell ended up the worst?
I think if I just had to guess, I'm going to say Oakland or Detroit.
Okay.
And the answer is Atlanta. Detroit was number 3. Oh, we missed by 0.1. Man.
Yeah.
If the 49ers don't go on that drive at the end of the game to get the touchdown in garbage time, I bet the Seahawks finish at number 30.
That's how crazy bad this pass defense was at the beginning of the year, because they've been pretty damn good the second half of the year.
They
They've
had to be to be able
five.
to move out of the 32nd spot, because they were, I forget how many yards like average it was. It was like 20 yards worse per game average after like the midpoint of the season, something crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So good for them. I mean, that's a big kudos to the team on that, and all the guys not giving up and playing together. And the addition of Carlos Dunlap, I got to say, after watching, I don't know, this must be my third or fourth Carlos Dunlap press conference.
Mm-hmm.
He might be one of my favorite Seahawks. Like, he might be the favorite one. Dude, I love his personality.
Yeah.
He's funny. He's kind of irreverent. He's a goofball. He's basically a lot like Mike Bennett.
Yeah, I could see that, but more of a goofball.
More of a goofball. So Pete finishes up his presser. Next dude in is Dunlap. And he's so tall and big that they have to move the camera way up, and you know, the background doesn't go all the way to the top of the frame, right? You know, because he's just too big. And then he looks down at the microphone. He's like, "Who was standing here last?" Like, Russ? And they're like, "No, Pete." And he's just kind of snickers, you know, kind of his goofy little laugh that he does. It's freaking hilarious, man. And then the next thing that was so hilarious about the pressers was Dunlap leaves, and then the next dude in is Tyler, and he's wearing a backpack and a hoodie with the hood up, and he's got to pull the microphone down. It looked like they brought in an 8th grader. Like when you had the juxtaposition of the two, you know, and then Tyler just, shucks, yeah, I broke the record. I'm real excited. And, you know, and since he's a religious guy, you know, like, just want to thank God, you know, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, it was totally different. It was funny. I don't know.
That's one thing that, apart from the play of the guys that John Schneider acquired for this defense in the offseason, not just the play of Jamal Adams, not just the play of DJ Reed, not just the play of Carlos Dunlap, but all three of those guys have the kind of personality that, I mean, it just brings a different dynamic to the team.
They needed it. They really did. And I think that's been...
Well, yeah, because you have Bobby, who is, you know, he's your, you know, type of leader, like a leader in his own way, you know, kind of that captain, that stoic guy. And you got, you know, KJ Wright, you know, the wily vet, but, you know, not really like the vocal type of guy, not a ton of personality. Shaquille Griffin, also a little bit of personality, but not like your normal, like outside corner type personality. And even Quandre Diggs, like they're just all like really nice guys, like guys that you'd love to hang out with and are just super cool and chill.
KJ, such not a vocal guy, you know, that he needs Bobby to do the woos after he blows up Juszczyk.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
What a hit.
That was a cool hit. Diggs had a cool hit in the game too.
Yeah, this defense is thumping right now.
like to see it. I like to see how physical they are, because that's going to make the difference in a game against the Rams. It's going to make a big difference in a game against a team like the Packers.
I think that would be the difference against the Packers. You got to beat up Devontae Adams.
I think that the Tampa Bay defense is a hitting defense. So, I mean, matching, physicality with that type of team.
Yeah. Well, to go back to Tampa, as we were kind of touching on this before the break, for us personally, I fear them the most because I don't think we can generate consistent enough pass rush to keep Tom off of his spot.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, there was two teams that were the worst matchup for the Bucs right out of the gate. One was the Rams, and then the other is Washington.
Because that type of defensive line can get after Tom.
That's historically what's beaten him, is a great front four. Or, usually kind of like a 6-man rotation for front four, where they're always fresh and
strong
always
interior
after him.
dudes.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you got Chase Young. He wants all that smoke.
I like it. I like that the rookie's getting into it with the old vet.
I do too. I enjoyed that. If I were a Washington football team fan, I would really enjoy that, but hate every other aspect of my life. But yeah, good for Chase Young. We'll see how that works out for him.
I don't see Washington getting that win. I just think, Brady's going to find a way to win in the fourth quarter. And that's the exact reason why I would worry about facing Brady in the playoffs again, is that just he finds a way to get it done in the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter if you're, if you've got a 10-point lead on him, if you got a 3-point lead, he's like Russell Wilson, or Russell Wilson's like him in that regard, that, they just find ways to win in the fourth quarter. And I think Aaron Rodgers, he's similar in that type of way too.
Aaron Rodgers is not similar in that way. And the only reason I know that is Cowherd actually brought this up in the middle of the season. Rodgers' career statistics of when he gets down one score.
Oh, that's right.
They're horrific.
I remember you mentioning that.
He's a front runner, man.
Yeah. Do you think that that's more McCarthy, or is that more Rodgers?
That's definitely Rodgers.
Okay.
He doesn't deal with adversity very well at all. Look, it goes all the way back to the day he was drafted.
Yeah, he is not neutral mindset quarterback.
No, he is easily offendable Aaron. Look, he's even mad that he doesn't get the Rodgers rate in his State Farm commercials. He's a petty man.
I would like to go through the Packers just because
it's going to happen. So if we're going to get to the Super Bowl, it's going to be through Green Bay.
I don't know. Just so me as a football fan, and knowing that, realistically for Seahawks, I feel like they've reached the kind of success. Like they're hanging a division title banner. So I'm almost of the opinion now that I want to see them go up against every single tough test, because whoever you get out of the AFC in the Super Bowl is going to be a tough test. So I would like to see the toughest road ahead.
There's only two teams that are a tough test from the AFC.
Oh, okay. Bills. And you think the Chiefs?
Yeah.
I thought you said the Ravens earlier. You told me when we were doing the power rankings that you would have put the Baltimore Ravens ahead of the Seahawks.
Well, yeah, but then the Seahawks won more.
Then they beat the Rams and the 49ers barely.
Yeah, but division games and all that. The Ravens beat up on terrible teams and struggle against good teams. It just wake me when Lamar Jackson has a good playoffs.
Yeah.
And then I'm with you.
Well, that's going to be a tough matchup for them going up against the Titans. The Titans don't have a great D, but I think their pass rush hasn't been good this year.
Yeah.
And they were, I think, so it was the Falcons, Seahawks, Lions, and then I think it was the Titans that were the teams giving up the most passing yards on defense.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's going to be an interesting game. I mean, Derrick Henry, wow. That 2,000 to get to 2,000 yards, what a performance.
Yeah, needing 200 plus to do it, and it not really even feeling like it was close.
Yeah, unreal.
They're an interesting team to me. I Tannehill as a quarterback, I think, he's, Ryan Tannehill would be the perfect quarterback for Pete Carroll.
Yeah. Hit one bomb a game.
It's like that's what he wants Russ to be, is Ryan Tannehill.
Right. Guess they should have drafted him instead of Russ when they had the chance, right?
I don't think they had the chance.
Sure they did.
He went top 10.
Okay, they'd had to trade up.
Yeah.
But yeah, in that draft, Tannehill was available before Russ.
And they traded down to get Bruce, so they could have traded up.
You could trade up any year. John Schneider, I don't know if you're listening, but it is possible.
He knows you can trade up. I've seen him do it in the second round.
Yeah, I know, but in the first round, does he know you can do it in the first round? Like, there's no rules against it.
He may.
It's not even bad form. Like, you can do it. Nobody's going to look down on you.
No, it's true.
Maybe he'll do it when he's Detroit's general manager. I don't know.
Well, he knows you can do it because he gets other teams to trade up with him every single year.
Really? I didn't even get you to bite on that at all?
John Schneider going to the Detroit Lions. What do you think about that idea?
I think that the Detroit media is very bored.
You think it's the Detroit media or John Schneider having an agent who does his job?
This doesn't feel agent driven. This feels like ownership of the Detroit Lions being like, we'd really like John Schneider. Can we just float it out there enough to see if
Bill
maybe
Belichick's
he'll
not
bite?
available as the general manager?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So who's the number two guy?
Yeah. I think that's how that's going.
Mm-hmm.
Why this is the funny part. Why in the world would John Schneider go from Seattle to Detroit? What's the upside?
Well, from the perspective of the media, it's kind of close to Green Bay where he wanted to go and then didn't go when he had the chance.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Solid logic.
Right. It's kind of close to Green Bay where he used to be.
Ish. Yeah.
Except it's Detroit.
Organization with a great history of winning, right? Oh, wait. No, none of that.
He can build it from the ground up, Adam.
Well,
he'd have the final say on everything. He wouldn't have to go to Pete every single time saying, hey, Pete, is it okay for me to do this?
Yeah, that's how that works, too.
I mean, everybody knows.
Everybody knows. Yeah. What a stupid story that is. If there wasn't for other events in the league, that would have been my do better.
We got that. We got other playoff games. Well, we might end up talking about some of them as well. Indianapolis, Buffalo. That feels like a win by Buffalo.
I mean, wake me when the AFC playoffs are over. Like, whatever.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't even care about AFC playoffs.
I don't care about the AFC at all.
No?
No.
I'd like to watch the Buffalo and Chiefs games.
Yeah. I'd watch that.
Yeah, like if those two teams face off in the AFC Championship, that'd be a fun game to watch.
That would be a fun game to watch.
So what's the NFC Championship you're hoping for?
Seahawks and whoever else makes it.
The Chicago Bears is the right answer.
Okay. I really don't care as long as they're there. I actually went back and listened to a little bit of our season expectations podcast on my drive back from Wyoming.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. And my season expectation was that they make the NFC Championship game.
I think I probably jumped on with you on that.
Yeah, we're more or less the same.
And I was trying to listen to a little bit of our schedule, our prediction show, and I think we both finished at 12-4. So nailed that.
Yeah, we're really good at this.
Not perfectly. I think I said that we were going to lose to the Cowboys, which neither of us I don't think had predicted a 5-win start to the season.
No, but hey, I don't care exactly how it got there. We were right. That's the part you should be focused.
That's the important. Yes, I should focus on how right we were.
Yes.
All right. What do you say we welcome some new members of the flock?
That feels right too.
A welcome to PJ Halverson, who came in at $36, $3 a month for the annual pledge. Welcome to the flock to PJ.
Dude, appreciate it, PJ.
Dell came in at $3 a month. So welcome to the flock to Dell.
Man, I feel like we're on a roll. There's more?
There's more. We got 2 raises this last week.
Wow.
Jay and Monroe gave us a raise from $12.12 all the way up to $25. Said, hey, Brandon, just wanted to up my patronage because honestly, $12.12 a month doesn't seem like enough for the joy you and Adam bring me weekly. I'm in the Discord as Skybox Shoddy's hobo hat. So there we go. See, I think because maybe Clinton threw out some credit to him on the 3 and 3 out show. Mm-hmm. That helped, pull him in too. But
Dude, yeah, Clinton helps everything.
yeah. But Jay says he still doesn't have Facebook, so the Ring of Honor constantly beckons for me to create a profile again, but I will continue to resist.
Yeah, do it and just use a fake name and don't put anything on your profile. Just let us know what the fake name is so we can get you in.
Yeah.
And only do the Ring of Honor. It's actually the route I'm thinking about going.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's essentially all I do anyway.
That's the only thing I use the Facebook for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To look at the pictures my wife posts of the kids.
Mhm.
Even though, I'm here for all those events anyway, I still like to see the pictures because she's a good photographer.
Yeah.
And yeah, the Ring of Honor.
And that's it. That's all.
That's all I need.
What else matters?
Nothing.
I think we're on the same page here. Sounds like Jay is too.
Yes, he says, anyway, I hope you have a wonderful new year. And as ever, go Hawks.
Go Hawks. Well, and I do like that Jay appreciates the value for value model that we provide here.
Absolutely. He's saying, you know what? You've given me more value than I've been giving to you in return. And so I'm upping the value that I'm providing.
Yeah, which is awesome. See, with more contributions like Jay here in our executive producers, I'm going to be able to build a dedicated little podcast hobo shack on the back half of the cabin property here.
There you go.
That'll be my spring project.
We'll have a little podcast studio on the property.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it can go right next to the outhouse.
Well, there is no more outhouse. There's we have.
Well, why didn't you
indoor.
convert that into your podcast studio?
It's a little small.
Okay.
I converted it into my shed.
Okay.
It's my tool shed.
You're a tool shed.
I feel like a tool shed.
Also got a raise from Chris in Spokane from 12 up to 20.
Hey, is that Shanna's husband, Chris, or a different Chris?
That's a different Chris.
No, okay. Well, I didn't know.
I don't know if we've ever gotten an email from Shanna's husband.
No, not to the show. He just emails me. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Is he a Hawks fan?
Yeah, and he's a Jeep guy.
So
Chris is a great
You guys get
dude.
along really well.
Yeah, he's awesome. The only thing is he doesn't drink beer. That's the only thing we don't connect on.
Well, 2 out of 3.
Ain't bad.
Not bad. Hey, and not bad for us. I mean, for all the lobbying work that we've done over the past months, the $600 checks that we talked about should have started showing up from the government. I did hear a little bit of complaining that maybe some people really didn't need them or that more would work better. But if you want to send the money back, you can go to seahawkerspodcast.com/support. Support the show there and help the show. Recognize us for our lobbying efforts on your behalf.
Give us all the money. Give us all the money. We'll go straight commie and redistribute the wealth. Don't worry about it. Or we'll go straight capitalist and keep it all for ourselves. One way, an extreme, either direction. That's how we're going to.
Either way, it'll be one of the two things.
That's how we're going to govern.
We could put up a GoFundMe for Adam's podcast shed.
Yes. I prefer the term hobo shack, but.
Okay.
Yeah.
So adamspodcasthoboshack.com. Keith, I know you're on this. Flocktimus.
Yeah. That is definitely a Flocktimus job right there.
Because, I do like that we're doing this value for value, Adam, because I got another email this week from a gambling site wanting to advertise on the show. I said, hey, you can go to getintheflock.com if you put in at the executive producer level, like Dustin Mock, Brian Shaw, Young Choi, you get a shout out on every show. We will do that for you. You get a shout out as an executive producer. All you got to do is go to getintheflock.com or 1212 and I'll give you a monthly shout out. And I got an email back that was kind of thanks or no thanks on that one.
Oh, okay. Well, their loss. I mean, obviously they would have been the last of the executive producers. Like,
Oh yeah.
we wouldn't have read their name first.
No.
It would definitely have been like a distant last.
Right. Yeah, they'd be last. And, we might talk junk about them too. Like, I can do that with Dustin and Brian. Like, they're cool with that.
Well, yeah, Dustin, Brian, and Young, they're all cool with that, but we don't need to talk crap about them because they're the best.
Because they're awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, prior to the show, we did our tiny pieces of Seahawks stuff selection. We picked that randomly. Siri picks a number. We had 47 people who got in this past month of December, and William Rawl was the one selected. So congratulations to William getting a little tiny piece of Seahawks stuff.
Yeah, I want to pretend that that's actually Thomas Rawls, and he's just using a semi-fake name.
Also spelled differently. I won't give out. I'll save some of William's anonymity for how he spells his last name. But
yeah, and don't bother me with your facts, logic, and reason either. Okay,
and that means we have a new tiny piece of Seahawks stuff up for the month of January. And how about this? Great American treasures, Russell Wilson. You got the red, white, and blue. It's a piece of wolf gray jersey here, and it's number 47 of 99. So you got the individual number on there. It's from 2018. Yeah, Great American treasures, Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that one's mine. I also want the matching one, the other Great American treasure with a little tiny piece of Betty White's clothing from Golden Girls.
How do we get that? Do we get? But that wouldn't be a tiny piece of Seahawks stuff.
No, that'd just be a tiny piece of awesomeness.
Exactly.
She's a great American treasure.
Absolutely an American treasure. Betty White, one of my number one gals.
There you go.
All right.
I just want to thank her for being a friend. You know?
Pick'em League standings. We got Christian hanging on to the top spot. He got 14 correct to stay up there at number one. Will J as his team name. And you got Collier Greens now at number 2, winning week 17 with 15 picks correct. I believe there was a tiebreaker involved there too, because we did have some others at 15. And so Collier Greens, Daniel Weinholtz there at 181 points, Jonathan Burkholder at 180, Fernando Tejada at 178, along with Van Isle Hawk fans. So those are your top 5 right now going into the playoffs.
Well, here it is. It's the playoffs, so you better bring your A game if you want to win this thing.
Yes, and one of the things that makes this year a little more interesting, you got 6 games on Wild Card Weekend now.
Yeah, true fact.
You can have a little bit more movement with the Pick'em League standings with the extra games.
So with the extra games and 3 games on both days, how many relationships is that going to end?
Yeah, well, it's just one weekend.
You say that. But this is a year that we've had football on at least one time every day of the week. I have a feeling it's been a straight on at least a few relationships.
It could strain it a little bit, but just be like Adam and not care about the AFC until it really matters.
Yeah, exactly. It just makes life a lot easier. When you stop caring about things, it makes life a lot easier.
Caring about
and
things.
Stop caring about things and be a little more easy to anger. And you're in good shape. That's my life advice for today.
Don't be so quick to be angry.
No. Like I said earlier today, that Russ needed to be a little more quick to get angry, quick to anger.
You want that?
That's my life advice for this week.
I'm going to get angry real quick if we didn't get trivia right last week.
You and me both.
What's up, guys? The question last week was, there are only 5 NFC teams Russ has never played in the playoffs. Who are they? You all were correct, crushed it, well done. And so those 5 teams are Arizona, Los Angeles Rams, Tampa Bay, Chicago, and the Giants. And so it's kind of cool because we get to play one of those 5 teams. So our question for this week, before I ask it, I apologize about the John L. Williams thing. You are correct. I was not a Seahawks fan in the 80s. I was born and raised in the South. I grew up in a small town in South Carolina. And even when the Panthers became a thing in 94, I was not interested at all. And it's kind of embarrassing to tell other people, but, I moved all the way from South Carolina to Seattle because I was a Ken Griffey Jr. fan, and I had John Alexander on my fantasy team, and I liked Ichiro, and that was kind of it. I just wanted to be in a big town in Seattle. It seemed cool. I wanted to, root for sports teams and go to music concerts and stuff like that, because they're not really happening in South Carolina. So anyways, that's my story. The question for this week is, Brady, Peyton, Eli, and Phillip Rivers have all been in the league for much longer than Russell. Which of those 4 quarterbacks has won more conference playoff games on the road than Russ? Brady, Peyton, Eli, Phillip Rivers. Which of those 4 has won more conference playoff games on the road than Russ? Go Hawks!
Go Hawks. Well, first off, going from South Carolina to Seattle is a gigantic win. And it's not
there's
just
nothing to be embarrassed about or wanting to make that move.
You got rid of the stupid humidity. And I know you said about Junior and all that, those were your reasons, but we all know what the real reason was. There's less snakes. Like that was the smartest thing that you could have done there. Because I'm pretty sure they have the man-eating pythons in South Carolina too. With infrared vision, they stand up 4 feet tall. They hunt you in your sleep. They're always trying to kill you. Always.
I don't know.
So he got away from them, and I'm happy for him. But to answer his question, I'm going Peyton.
So is it just one quarterback from those four that has won more conference playoff games on the road?
Right. To me, it was Peyton or Eli, because you would think that Tom's been at home more often than not, just with the way they've finished over the years, right?
Well, Peyton was at home a lot too.
Yeah, later in his career, but early in his career, he's on the road a bunch.
I don't know.
And then so the other thought was, well, Eli, because obviously they limped into the playoffs every time that they did with Eli, but then he won a bunch of games.
Well, it might have to be Eli then, because I don't know if Phillip has won a ton in the playoffs.
He hasn't. He's usually one and done.
And Eli, he had to win as a wild card team, I think both seasons that they went through the Super Bowl. So it's got to be Eli.
I think it's Peyton.
Okay.
More opportunities.
I think Eli had fewer opportunities, but he did it more consistently.
He more consistently didn't make the playoffs?
I don't know what that meant.
Okay. I'm just trying to clarify. Not trying to make you feel stupid.
I was trying to say something that made me sound smart, and then I don't know what happened.
Hey, welcome to my life right there.
All right. So we're both going with one of the Mannings. You're going Peyton. I'm going Eli.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the mailbag. Jason Harding comes in on YouTube, says, I have to disagree with the assessment of Seattle's offense and defense. Offense always has the edge at the beginning of the season, and Russ and DK building a bond gave that an even bigger edge. All defenses were in a bind to start the season. That's not because of talent, it's chemistry. Chemistry, along with consistency, is probably the most important asset in football. Blast from the past, Hasselbeck/Ingram. Practicing together as a team. Playing together as a team. Repetition brings consistency, which leads to chemistry. I love what I see out of the rookies, Brooks, Reed, Amadi. Other additions are so solid I need not mention names. New and old wins championships, and Techno Thursdays are back to make this long-suffering, viewership-wise, Canadian Seahawks fan even more happy. Love the Legion of Fudd-Up. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, man. I believe the old adage that you usually hear is that defenses are ahead of the offense at the beginning of every year.
Right, because the offense doesn't tend to build that kind of chemistry, right?
Right. You need more game time experience with it. That's just what the old adage is.
But it's weird because, and maybe it was because of this season not having the preseason, because it's kind of been that way for everybody. Although I have also seen that officiating, they just weren't calling holding penalties, and that's why we had like this huge surge in scoring this year.
Maybe. Yeah, but it does feel like the beginning of the year, nobody was playing defense. And by the end of the year, a lot of the defenses are much improved. So maybe this is an anomaly for this year, and we're right in stride with everybody else.
It also had to do with talent, because this defense, talent-wise, they got better at corner. They got better on the defensive line. They got better at linebacker once Jordan Brooks started playing and they moved KJ over to the strong side. So they've improved at all different levels of the defense just throughout the season. Absolutely.
That's a testament to future Detroit Lions general manager John Schneider.
Right. I can't even let you finish the sentence without laughing. That's so funny just to hear that,
it's a good
that sentence
joke,
put
isn't
together.
It? The punchline is awesome. Detroit Lions general manager John Schneider. That's a funny punchline.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's never going to happen, and so it will exist.
It's funny
for this,
because it's not true.
It'll exist for this 1 week where we can all enjoy it and have a little laugh about it.
Yeah.
We did get one quick note in from John the Bard. Says, okay, I cut off the tags and absolutely hated the accent. Yours is bad, but this is the pits. Get me on every week and I will read my own. Happy New Year.
Perfect. Okay. So, John He doesn't appreciate the talent that you've been bringing to the pod here. So he wants to
appreciates
play himself.
my bad accent better
Right.
than the robot's bad accent.
Yeah, because that was terrifying.
Thought some people might like it and think it, was kind of funny.
Well, I think we all got a good chuckle out of it and maybe a nightmare or two.
I heard a couple people saying that they wanted to keep it, but I don't know if it was because they knew that it made John mad and that's why they wanted to keep it, or it was because they actually liked it. I think it was the former.
I could see that.
Because Bloomy will do anything to make John mad.
Yes, he will.
He loves that stuff.
Yeah, and it's out of love.
Right, I think.
Yeah. Or not. I don't know. I'm entertained.
On to do better and better at life.
All right, man, I might do better this week. And boy, I've been fired up to do this do better since I woke up and started hearing the whiny ass national media go off on this story because it is unfreaking believable. My do better this week is for every member of the national media and every fan of the New York Giants that are being crybaby catfish asses over the Eagles packing it in the fourth quarter. This is unbelievable. The outrage. This is a great example of the fake outrage culture that we live in these days. My God, you'd think Doug Peterson would have gone out and killed Bambi in the middle of Times Square. The outrage about him in the fourth quarter deciding, you know what? I've seen enough of Jalen Hurts. He's not a quarterback. Maybe I'll see Sudfeld for a minute. And honestly, if we lose, it's better for our deal.
How dare you? How dare you be on the side of a guy who is openly disrespecting the National Football League, every coach who's ever put on a headset, every player who's ever suited up in a uniform, Adam, he disrespected all those people all at once in prime time.
Yes, he packed it in for a whole quarter. Unbelievable. This guy. You know what? On that note, how about Andy Catfish and Reed? How about that guy and the way he disrespected the whole league and every guy that's ever coached and every guy who's ever suited it up? He threw away a game. What a jerk. He's totally disrespecting the game. And on that note, how about Mike Tomlin? That guy too. Just disrespecting the league, just letting in the Cleveland Browns into the playoffs. Not really. Oh, we're not mad about that.
Oh, no, that was strategic.
So there's two teams. Strategic. So there's a couple teams that the whole team and head coach decided that what's best for their organization was to not try in the game. But that isn't disrespecting the game and totally destroying the integrity of the league. No. Doug Peterson, the guy who benched his $100 million quarterback to try to compete to win the East Division of football, the guy who competed all but one quarter of the NFL season so he could get what, surprise folks, is an actual better draft pick, the 6th draft pick, rather than the 9th. It's better. That's facts. He had the audacity to pack it in for one quarter. What a jerk. And then the hypocrisy. Oh my God, the hypocrisy of the national media on this is just unbelievable. And then to watch people like Dan Orlovsky practically stroke out on ESPN, having a freaking fit over this crap. When the thing about it is, when the draft comes around, you know what's not going to be talked about on the regular? The integrity of the game and how Doug Peterson's ruining everything. So, and then on top of that, why is Doug Peterson entitled to help out the New York Giants? Why?
Right.
What part of that's like us wanting to help out the Niners on purpose? Why should he want to do that? It's the dumbest thing in the world. If you know what, and every Giants fan and player that's sitting and whining about this crap, guess what? You want to make the playoffs? Win more games. You're 6-10. It's pathetic. You don't even deserve to be there. And yet you're crying about this, and the national media is crying about this. I watched Rex Ryan get up, and with his jowls shaking, this is terrible. This is terrible. What integrity of the game? It's so catfishing absurd. I can't believe I was subjected to this over the last couple days for Doug Peterson and the Philadelphia Eagles simply doing what's best for their organization and giving a middle finger to one of their division rivals. Everybody who has a problem with it, do better.
I am so with you on this, Adam, because you know who deserves to be more upset than Giants fans? Freaking Miami Dolphins fans. If the Steelers play their starting players, maybe they knock out their division rival, and the Browns knock them out of the playoffs. They don't even have to face them in the first round. Maybe they get the 2 seed instead of the 3 seed. But no, they're sitting all their starters too, and nobody said one single word about Mike Tomlin. You didn't see the Bills sit their guys against a division rival. No, they treated it like an actual playoff game, and they knocked the Miami Dolphins out of the playoffs, blew them out, and so they deserve to be recognized going into this wild card round as the number 2 seed. So to me, not only do you have to put this on the national media and the people that were upset, you've got to put this on the NFL for turning to a 4-10 team going into that primetime slot and hoping that they were going to put up a fight in prime time. That's on the NFL, not on Doug Peterson. NFL, do better.
Yeah. What a joke, man. It just blew my mind. And seriously, watching Orlovsky, I swear to God, I thought he was going to like lose feeling in half of his body.
He was that mad.
Oh my God. Him and Keyshawn going back and forth. And Keyshawn's like, yeah, what's the big deal here? Who gives a shit?
Catfish!
Like,
Right,
number
man.
one, it's a crap division. Whoever's going is losing in the first round anyways. And secondly, why wouldn't you get the better draft pick? Why wouldn't you?
This is the weirdest thing about this, because when the Seahawks won the division at 7-9, oh my goodness. Can we pass a rule to make it so a team that wins with a losing record that they can't play a home game? And that was the entire conversation. 7-9 teams should not be allowed to host a home game. Yes, let them in the division, but re-rank everybody and make them go on the road because they're a 7-9 team. And now it's a New York team that gets screwed by a Philadelphia team. Just, and they were playing to win the game. They went for it on 4th down right at the goal line to make the go-ahead score going into the 4th quarter. So you can't say that they weren't playing absolutely to win, because they go up there and who knows, they may end up winning that game.
Yeah.
Instead, they're worried that a 6-10 football team didn't get in the playoffs because Philly didn't try that hard in the 4th quarter.
It's only because it's New York. You're 100% correct. And the second thing is, who's to say that Sudfeld didn't outplay Jalen Hurts?
He was not good. That was bad.
I know he wasn't good, but neither was Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Hurts is better.
Because he ran it a couple times. He was under 50% passing, I believe, and had 62 yards.
No, Hurts was not having any kind of stellar game.
Right. What's not to say that Peterson didn't look at that? Not saying that he makes the best decisions in the world, but says, can't get much worse, and put Sudfeld in. And now he really thought he was trying to win the game. Who's to say that wasn't the case? Oh, then the last part about this is hilarious to me. Everybody being like, and then Doug Peterson came out and said he just thought that Sudfeld, he deserved some reps. He's lying to us. He's lying to us about that he was tanking. Oh my gosh, I can't believe a head coach in the NFL doesn't tell me exactly what's on his mind. So they killed Doug Peterson for that. Yet one Bill Belichick, the emperor, who never says
Catfish!
to the national media at any given time, is celebrated for his cunning by not saying a thing.
Yeah. Over 3 draft spots?
It'd be one thing if, say, the Eagles tanked the last quarter of the season.
And that was the same group of media crushing the Jets. Oh, how terrible are the Jets. They had Trevor Lawrence in their grasp, and then they go and they do something dumb like beat the Rams.
Yeah, stupid
How dare
Jets.
they try? How dare those Jets players try against the Rams?
I mean, last time I checked, the head coach's responsibility is to do what's best for the team in the moment and for in the future. And that's exactly what Doug Peterson did. So,
yeah,
it made my head explode.
I think it was just the overreaction that bothered me. Like, recognize what's happening, talk about it, but don't act like it's the worst thing that ever happened in the history of football.
I got done watching Sunday Night Football, went to bed, and when I was waking up the next morning, I had no inkling that this was going to be an enormous outrage story.
But that's what we got. That's what we got.
Yeah. And I will give, all right, Time for Better at Life.
Let's do it. On to Better at Life.
I didn't know what it was going to be until this exact moment. My Better at Life than Skip Bayless this week is for Rich Eisen. He was the one guy that I heard get on and basically say what I did, only better because he's Rich Eisen.
And isn't he a Giants fan?
He's a Jets fan and openly admit that he wished his Jets would have done that. Actually, made sure that they got Trevor Lawrence.
Gotcha.
Right? And he went through the whole thing. And again, if you want a more eloquent,
less yelly version.
Yeah. Find Rich Eisen's little clip. It's on YouTube. Really well done. Really smart. One of the only dudes with a big voice to come out and be like, what the hell are you all talking about? Rich Eisen, the fastest man in all of sports talk radio, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Rich Eisen's Better at Life. My Better at Life this week is for Xavier McKinney, who, as part of the Giants, one of the things that we saw him take down the Dallas Cowboys earlier in that afternoon. So that is what put them in position to potentially win the division. Mm-hmm. And I liked the shade that came from Xavier McKinney because he pocketed away one of those tweets where Skip Bayless had said in the past, glad the Giants took the Bama safety, Xavier McKinney. I did not want the Cowboys to take. And McKinney held on to that one, saved it for Skip, and said, happy belated New Year's, Skip, and gave him a little wink. And so, for Xavier McKinney, embodying the spirit of Better at Life, being a defensive back, and just hanging on to that to call out the man himself, Skip Bayless, Xavier, Better at Life than Skip Bayless.
Slow clap for you, man. Like that, very good. It all ties together. I love it. And as everybody on the show knows, we love when somebody rubs it in Skip Bayless's face. Yeah. It's a good time.
Because Skip's a Cowboys fan. Mm-hmm. And, for the Cowboys to lose in the final week, Skip was hoping that the Dallas Cowboys were going to get that win and that the Eagles would win and the Cowboys would be in the playoffs, even though, they didn't have a whole lot of a shot in the playoffs, just like any of the NFC East teams.
Do you think the outrage would have been worse if the Cowboys had won that game?
If the Cowboys had won and Philly does the exact same thing?
Yes.
Is it worse? Yeah, it's probably worse.
Yeah, I think it's probably worse only because Jerry Jones and company would be running their mouth about it. Whereas at least the Giants ownership group, is it the Maras?
Uh-huh.
They still own it. At least they had the class not to say crap about any of that.
The Giants coach was kind of upset about it, though.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of gamesmanship within the division.
Oh, for sure. There's no doubt about that.
Well, we did it, Adam. We got through the regular season. Mm-hmm. It's now time for some playoff football.
Playoffs?
And with that,
there's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. This is terrible. This is terrible. Integrity of the game.